Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh.
And this is NFGeeks. All right, well, Josh, this is going to be a great episode because this is something we've sort of talked about previously in different times. And I can't wait. This is going to be, who knows where this is going to go. But Josh has, like a good NF, Josh has a series of alternate theories, is what he calls them, about various aspects of the world, events, things that have happened. And he speaks about them in a very convincing ENFJ way. So I asked Josh to kind of bring up the ones that he wants to talk about, and we'll talk about it. And there'll be a lot of comments, I'm sure, about this one.
Yeah.
So, Josh, so I'll let you start. What alternate theory would you like to begin with?
I want to talk about the aliens.
Okay, sure. So let's talk about aliens
first.
Yeah, this is a very
heated
topic. Go ahead.
Well, I believe that there's a lot of physical on Earth evidence of aliens.
Such
as pyramids, natural, unmentionable landscapes.
Okay,
things
such
like
what? Can you give an example?
I'm not sure. It's in South America.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Sure, I can tell you what you're talking about, the Nazca Plains.
The Nazca Plains, where they have like ginormous drawings of animals, spiders, birds.
Okay, here's some good news, Josh. I'm gonna be lenient here. I'm gonna give you that one.
The Nazca.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the Nazca Plains because I actually thought about this when thinking about the Nazca Plains. Is that artists, all have this ego side to them, and they always want their art to be viewed. Artists don't do art and then put it in a closet.
Right.
They want somebody to look at it. So if the Nazca Indians or whatever Native Americans did this in South America, they were assuming someone was looking at it.
Right.
They didn't just do it to do it, for no one could look at it. They were assuming something or someone was actually seeing the art. So there's got to be. So that makes me think. Well, there's something maybe to that.
And with the pyramids, I want to discuss it briefly.
Okay, sure.
Because
I can't give you the pyramids, but go ahead.
We'll talk about it.
Sure.
Because personally, I believe that they cut the bricks.
Who is they?
They, as in Egyptian people
okay.
building the pyramids, cut bricks, and the bricks are like normally. If we're talking in those ancient times, we're talking about the periods. We're talking about roughly what year?
For the pyramids, we're talking a while ago. We're talking maybe 2000 BC, maybe even before that.
So 4,000 years ago.
Yes.
4,000 years ago, the hand tools that they had were like chisels, pulleys, things of that nature.
Probably not pulleys.
Probably not even pulleys,
No.
but like chisels, rough hand tools. So how would you cut perfectly flat bricks that fit together with no space in between them with a chisel by hand?
Are you rhetorically asking, or do you want me to hypothesize?
You could hypothesize.
Okay. All right. So I come from the position that humans built the pyramids, and that I think they could have measured it with some kind of rope or string of the same length. So if they have rope, they act as a ruler, so they then can mark where things were. That's one of my hypotheses.
But how do you explain the flatness and perfection of the cut itself?
My other hypothesis would be that the bricks were actually cut over very long periods of time and smoothed over a long periods of time with lots of workers. So I don't think they cut it right away perfectly. They may have taken it out of the limestone, out of whatever, and then other craftsmen went and smoothed it out. And this might have taken weeks to months to years.
But then wouldn't you agree that it would have taken them a lot longer than it did for them to build the amount of pyramids that they built?
I believe that most of the Egyptian population was involved, so we're talking about tens of thousands of people probably, or at least thousands.
Okay.
That's what I would give.
Then why also is that with our modern abilities? You've given me the answer before, but I just want to mention it.
Sure.
Because I've said, why is it that with our modern, even using modern technology slightly, like modern saws and things like that, and other tools that we have, like why isn't it that we're able to replicate it, even using our engineers and computers and things like that? And you just claim that we lost the knowledge?
We might have lost some of the knowledge in technology, you know what I mean?
Knowledge given to us by whom? Perhaps aliens?
No. But all right, well, let me give another explanation. Another explanation is to actually run your experiment would cost a huge amount of money. Who's going to fund that? Who's going to say, okay, I got like $1 million to burn, so let's do this? Secondly, too, I think they did it over like decades. So who's going to spend decades building a pyramid?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we would spend a summer building a pyramid. So that would be my answer to that. Okay, but let's talk about. But still, that doesn't mean I don't like this idea. When I was a kid, I was really into Chariot of the Gods, and this idea of aliens coming. And I actually, let's get serious about this, or I'll show that I have some connection here. Is that statistically, if you think about it, the further you go back in time, the more likely the Earth has been visited by somebody. If you think about it, if you go back billions of years, that's plenty of time for somebody from across the galaxy, even if they're just traveling close to the speed of light, to make it here. Do something, land, crash, whatever. So the further you go back in time, the more likely somebody or something might have come. That's not evidence. That's just sort of a process. Okay. So what other alien theories do you have? Do you have any others? Do you have any ones in the present or other civilizations?
I like a lot of how they describe like a lot of biblical stories.
Okay.
People ask you to read a lot of like Old Testament things and just take out angel and put alien in it and how it like makes sense, the stories. And people talk about how angels, like how they picture them always as human but with wings. But I remember they did a simulation where physically, if we had wings, we couldn't really move them that way and support and like lift our body weight to fly. And they always show that like angels ascend and descend.
Sure.
So they
in
circles. So they kind of claim that is jetpacks, movement with jetpacks. And because they were just less primitive people, they didn't picture it as jetpacks. They just showed it as wings.
Jetpack angels.
Well, no, just aliens coming down from the ship with jetpacks.
No, I like the phrase jetpack angels. That's like a hipster band that would only put out like 5 records.
Fembot would like hipster.
Yes, Fembot would like hipster. Would like
Jetpack Angels.
Jetpack Angels. Yeah. So there's a band name you can use. Okay. What else with aliens? What other things you have connected to this that you're interested in? Anything in the present? Do you think there's any kind of conspiracy about? Because recently I read
like
the news,
that Obama texts like Gal Gadot from like some planet or something.
Yes, that they're having conferences in the White House and deserts and things.
I'm not really sure because I think maybe at some point we might have like Roswell and stuff. I don't know. Maybe at some point we did because I think it's very funny how we didn't really have much technology up until the early 1900s even. And then we had like a just ginormous boom. Now we have iPhones and like we have a crazy amount of advanced technology. So I find that a funny thing, a funny occurrence, I guess you could say. I'm not so sure though if I was an alien, if I would even want to talk to humans, because as you observe Earth, especially if you're just observing America, since we're talking about our own government, we're really not that like great of people. Like there's a lot of like corruption and not good things to look at all the time. So I'm not sure if I was an advanced race, if I would want to give us their stuff.
All right, so 2 things I want to comment on that. So metaphorically, what you're talking about is the Prometheus myth. Prometheus was the Greek god or semi-god or whatever.
The fire.
That stole fire and gave it to the humans so that they could have knowledge and technology and all that. Because if you think about it, technology comes out of fire, smelting of metals and all that. Right. So it sounds like you're talking about aliens as Prometheus. Is that
right? Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
Okay. All right, I had a second point based on what you just said.
Aliens not liking us enough.
Oh yes, thank you. Good job. See, that was an NF moment. Well, look, people observe slugs. People observe bugs. People observe all sorts of gross things. People go after and try to look at bear shit and to learn something about bears.
True.
So people might be observing things even though they're grotesque and backwards.
I think aliens could observe us to learn from us, but it doesn't mean they would help us. Because we look at slugs and then we pour salt on them so they die.
Sure, some do. I don't know the researchers do that. Certainly humans do that.
We look at ants and then we burn them, so it's burn them with magnifying
Well,
glasses.
that's true. I've actually said that. I said, we shouldn't be sending out messages to space because how do we know we're not the rats of the galaxy?
Right.
You know what I
You
mean?
know?
And so the aliens come and like, oh Christ, more of these things, kill them,
Ugh.
exterminate.
So
God, because we're all over the place and we're
Yeah.
just infesting everything. All right. What are some? All right. So I'll bring up this one. You have a theory about the FEMA camps, and they have a FEMA camp
Right.
hypothesis going on, and some people know about this. So let's hear. So what is the main idea of this?
Well, just FEMA in general, they're a government organization that they're supposed to like help with natural crises and things like that.
Sure.
And if you actually look at the government's like budget breakdown, they actually receive like a huge amount of money of the budget. I forgot what it was, but it's like they receive billions from the budget. And like when Katrina happened, like it took them forever. Like FEMA should have been like, yeah, let's go, phew, like without even order, because that's their job.
Right.
Like they don't need orders from anyone. That's natural disaster happens, they're supposed to be on it. And it took them forever to get to Katrina, but their budget, they have so much money, and they spend most of their money on construction. Constructing of what? No one knows. They have and they purchase a lot of open land, which they have reports of construction on, but there's nothing on the land. It's just open fields. So all this construction is being done where? Possibly underground, I suppose, but for what purpose? And then they have a lot of camps that they own. FEMA owns the camps, like they own the deed to the camps.
Okay.
And those are same camps that we put like Japanese American citizens in
Okay.
when Pearl Harbor happened. And in these camps, like currently they're like uninhabited, there's no one in them, but they're just they resemble really like Nazi camps. They look exactly like Nazi camps, and they have these like large plastic 6 by 2 foot bins, empty bins all around. And what are these camps for?
Okay. Well, what do you think these camps are for?
And I think they are
As part
for
of your theory.
I think that there could be some type of potential. I guess it goes back to my other video of being an ENFJ, visualizing post-apocalyptic worlds, and I visualize like some type of bad thing happening, like worse than 9/11, a really bad thing happening that causes everyone to panic, and so someone's got to like bring the panic under control. And the way you do that is by isolating certain people, and those camps might be used for that.
Isolating people who are going to survive, or isolating bad elements?
Not bad. I think isolating people that could, because I think that whole bringing things under control would be. I think that's all going to happen as a part of a certain ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So people who may pose a threat to thwarting that ideal from becoming realized would be put into these camps.
So they're not protective camps. This isn't like that movie 2012 where people get to go on the boat, like select people.
No, this is
different.
This is like, I want to rule the world. You're gonna screw my stuff up. I'm throwing you in the camp.
So it's all totalitarian stuff.
See, yes,
Okay, from FEMA.
FEMA.
Okay.
FEMA's just a cover.
A cover for.
Well, just to make it so people don't really question it. They
Okay.
just see FEMA on the label. Kind of like when you see like fat-free, but it's really full of sugar.
Okay.
Kind of that thing.
Sure.
It's FEMA on it, so you think it's cool, but it's something more maybe.
All right, I want to bring this back to ENFJ for a little bit. Is that one of the reasons I wanted you to do this, because you're very serious about this, is that there's something very ENFJ in your presentation. It's very convincing. It's very very convincing. It's very, very.
I use
it's an emotional
statistics.
play,
I use statistics, give visuals.
You're right. It is you do try to make a very convincing, and there is a thread of logic going through it, kind of. There is, or at least it's thematically connected. I'll say that about it. All right. Do any of these? Because we only got a few minutes, not even. All right. Well, let me put it this way, because that'll be too big of a question I was going to ask. What final thought would you like to share about any of this?
I think it's kind of something I already said to you, and it's personally, I don't appreciate the word conspiracy, or for my thoughts to be called conspiracy theories.
Okay.
I don't like that, and I think that even though I'm a J and I tend to judge people, I don't think we should take something that someone says and label them as crazy for saying it. I think we should just be open and try to consider everyone's thoughts as possible or probable.
Okay, that's great. Now, I just want to warn you that the NTs are going to go bananas on this, and it's going to be like a shark eating chum. Okay, it's going to be pretty. There's going to be the NTs are going to be off the chains.
It's okay.
Okay, just wanted to let you know that, and I just wanted to let the NTs know is that I understand your reaction in light of this. Okay, so that's it. Great, thank you, Josh, for sharing that.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate that.